will say it actually is cheaper, because if we turn over your building 2 months sooner and you have an owner who is making money with that asset, your general conditions are saved, from your general contractor, your insurance is cheaper, it's a win. So you have to get away from the 3 5/8 stud and the 2x4. And we've actually shown data where there's an assisted living, and the CM said to us, well, your price is $100,000 higher on this $2 million drywall job. They were charging on senior living facilities $6,000 to $12,000 a month. It would have been $1.2 million at the minimum in savings. So that $100,000 where we were more could have been a $1.2 million savings for the owner.
Hey, Melissa, welcome to the Steel Framing Connections podcast. Yeah, welcome. Do you want to just introduce yourself and your journey into steel framing?
Sure. My name is Melissa Sheffy, and I'm the founder of Network Framing Solutions. My journey into steel framing started 35 years ago when I opened Network Interiors, our metal framing and drywall subcontracting firm here in Connecticut. We are in southern New England in the United States, and we started as a metal framing drywall contractor, and we were doing commercial work only. And 16 years ago, we opened a general contracting company. So we do full project. And then 8 years ago, we opened Network Framing Solutions. And each one of my companies were opened out of a need, satisfying a need for the economy, for our customers, to keep our employees busy. And our prefab roll forming steel framing business, Network Framing Solutions, started because we were trying to figure out how to keep our competitive edge while being true to our employees and true to our culture. And we invested in the FrameCAD roll forming machines to figure out how to build a better mousetrap.
Yeah, nice. How did you come across it though? Like, what was it like? As I understand, there's not many in your area doing it. You guys, how did you guys take the leap? Like, what made you guys do it?
I am part of a national group of drywall contractors, and it's done through the ABC, Associated Builders and Contractors. And so we fly to each person's location, and we, have meetings on site, and we look at other people in other parts of the country and how people build. And another member and I were researching how to do things differently and better. And when you go out west, this is done very frequently. And as things start in California and come west, it has been done. Roll forming's been done. As you know, there's FrameCAD machines all over the place in the United States. And so we were looking at just different ways. Do we invest in tables? And do we, how do we remain competitive in our markets? And so two of us invested at the same time, and it was great because we bought the same machines and we went through the learning curve together. And instead of deciding to buy certain tables where we're buying stud and track and we're just assembling it by cutting it in our shop, we just went all in, and we invested in FrameCAD because we'd been contractors for years. And so we had to learn how to become manufacturers, and FrameCAD gave us the ability to get a jump start on how we could learn that with the ICC certifications. And that's kind of how we got there.
Yeah. So what was it like that you've got a strong contractor DNA background? What was it like to turn into a manufacturer? Like, what was the challenges, and what did that look like for you guys?
Well, that's an interesting question, because I'm always all in. I think that we can do anything. We have an amazing team here of highly intelligent framing professionals with background, and we build really beautiful, ornate buildings. And so we are used to difficult. And so it didn't really occur to me that it would be a challenge. And so I think sometimes risk takers tend to be a little naive, and, that's a good thing in our case. Because it never occurred to me that we couldn't be a manufacturer if we could build all these buildings, And so we took all of our experience, all of our metal framing experience, and all of our, highly intelligent employees, and we maximize on that. So we're able to, we sell ourselves as a manufacturer who comes from framing experience. So we look at each project on how it would be at the end with the finishes, right? And so we did that, and it was a bit of a challenge, I will say. We're like, oh, we're in construction, so how hard can manufacturing be, right? And so it's been a learning curve, I will say, because with manufacturing, it'd be nice if you had a project that was always the same. But with commercial buildings, and we're actually doing more residential now with our prefab system, every job's custom. So you don't get that repetitive nature of figuring out your learning curves. So we've been through the learning curves. We have a great handle on what works and what doesn't, and we're hitting the ground running, and it's been good.
Yeah, we probably should talk about the type of projects you guys are doing. Where is most of your focus at the moment?
We have shipped all over the United States, but it's for customers that we have here. New England is very densely populated, and there are a lot of clients here that have offices in other locations. We don't do it a lot. I'd like to team up with other FrameCAD owners in other parts of the country. Haven't gotten there yet, but it's been a few projects that we ship all over the country. But our main focus here is we do a lot of healthcare. We do a lot of higher education, dorms, universities, private schools, the repeatable apartments, senior living, do a ton of senior living housing. And we're doing fully designed lake age. So not everybody does that. And what we call that here in New England is there's a podium style, which is structural steel and concrete. Some people can do infill panels. We do that. But we also do 4 stories on a slab with the walls, floor trusses, walls, roof trusses.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, and do you think having that on-site knowledge, like what are you doing in manufacturing, having all that on-site the knowledge that your business has, what are you doing in the manufacturing and in the design that helps improve on-site efficiency?
We push for early collaboration because we can take a project once it's been fully designed by the design team, the architects and engineers, but it's easier if we can get in sooner. So also we're educating people a lot, owners, architects, engineers, on the best way to utilize. We say, take our experience, the things we've learned, and maximize on that. And we want to be a true partner. So when somebody comes to us, we're going to see it from beginning to end. We're not going to say, we made this, you signed off, and now it's your problem, right? It doesn't work. There's always site conditions in construction. So we partner with people all the way through to make sure that they're very happy. And so in our education piece, we try and get in early to do design build, design assist, things like that. Our best successful projects have been teams, whether it's a CM, architect, engineer, that have relied on our experience and just let us run with it. For example, if we do a balloon frame, which is spanning 2 floors of structural steel and concrete project, we've had great success with the design team asking for slight modifications that allow us to span 2 and 3 stories. We look at it from, if somebody wants to buy exterior walls with the sheathing on it, we look at it like you don't want to sheathe the whole way up. You're going to have to, attach it to the building. You need clips here. And, it's been good because we look at it like if, we install most of our projects, but we don't install all of them. So we look at it from what makes the most sense for the job schedule, because prefab accelerates a schedule. It really does. And we look at it like, as the framers, are the momentum that builds that, right? We start the momentum of accelerating the schedule. So we prefer early collaboration, and we prefer, but hey, customers are customers, and we'll give them whatever they want. So
Totally. How does that work? Like, is prefab new to some of your customers, and are they coming to
yes.
you? Yeah. So is there objections? Like, how do you how do you attract these people to come talk to you? And then 2, how do you, convince them that this is the way to do it?
We have developed a go, no go, because in the beginning we were trying to prefab anything. We developed a matrix and we were prefabbing everything. Not all projects are great to prefab. So we developed this matrix, and then, a lot of, when the wood prices went really high, there was a brief period where wood was higher than steel. And we were trying to capture that market. In our region, there is a mindset that it's traditional methods of construction. And so we've been doing a lot of lunch and learns. We've been doing a lot of education pieces. We do a lot of tours for anybody that really wants to come see us. What we found is that if there's a developer of apartment buildings that is going to sell the building in about 8 years, they're never changing from wood to steel. So we've developed this go, no go process of what we're going to focus on for bids and tours. Not that we don't want them, but we're very small and we have to put our, efforts towards what we think would be a good fit. Our best clients are people that are going to own the building, universities, hospitals. They're going to maintain the buildings. They want a high quality product. They want a fire resistant product, and so we kind of focus on that. We are making great strides with, honestly, Matt, there are people that say, I don't want to learn anything new. And that's okay. That's not our target market.
Yes.
We're not, none of us have enough manpower. That's another reason why we started this. And I think the statistics are by 2030, we're going to lose a huge percentage of our workforce in the United States. And so it's only going to get worse, right? So we are trying to provide a high quality, and we are actually providing a high quality product with the same amount of manpower in a less, an accelerated job schedule. So prefab works for that. But so convincing people to come over to that mindset is a challenge at times, but we do a lot of marketing and we, have testimonials, and it's kind of like seeing is believing. And once you see it, then we get repeat business.
That makes sense. Is focusing on people that hold the building, is that because the total cost of ownership is lower? Is that why? And the quality, like why does it make more sense for those people?
I think so, because if they're maintaining it on a regular basis, that our commercial clients are more of our target market. I would love to get the apartment market, but we're trying very hard to educate people on the price of a 3 5/8 stud versus a 2x4. If you're looking at it that, which is those two pieces of building materials, a 2x4 is going to be cheaper all day long. But if you look at the entire building project with us including our engineering, whereas you buy, even if it's prefab wood, it's highly flammable, which is a whole other issue, but it's also not including the engineering all the time. So ours includes the engineering, and then you look at builder's risk insurance and long-term property insurance. So we're trying to educate people with it's not a 2x4 versus a 3 5/8 stud. And then we do have people coming to us saying for every 10 2x4s we buy, only 6 are straight, right? So 5 are straight. So they want the higher quality product. So if they're framing with wood and it's a commercial building, the cabinets don't fit tight against the wall. Your finishes are affected. So I don't know if I answered your question.
No, that's perfect. What's the kind of market adoption to steel framing in the New England area?
Slow.
Slow? Yeah. Is that because of the conditions, or is it just that construction is slow to adopt new technologies? Or
I think it's both. I think we are in a part of the country that is not the quickest to adapt. We are seeing early adapters. Okay, we'll call them that. And we're getting great progress with people who realize that we're going to run out of natural resources and that our steel is recycled and the only cradle to grave building product versus wood. And so we're getting those people. But we're still seeing a lot of apartment buildings that are going up out of wood, and there's a lot. So I think it's just seeing is believing. I can't say enough about that. We asked for video testimonials from people, and we, just did a emergency department, a 1-story where we did the outside and the inside, and it was a new client team, and they were blown away. We did it in 4 weeks.
Crazy. And you touched on it before around the kind of skilled labor and that's becoming a shortage. I think it's a global issue actually. Does the penalized system kind of mean you can use different skilled labor?
Absolutely. And when we opened network framing, I had a meeting with my network interiors crew, and I said, I want you to understand that we've done a lot of research and development. We figured this is the best way forward for us. And I am not we are not investing in this to eliminate any of your positions. This is so that we can all do more work together, and you keep working, right? So it's not to eliminate positions. It is to add to our asset base of resources. And that has worked. So it is definitely, I can hire in my shop crew. I can bring on apprentices or unskilled labor, try them in our shop, have them, assemble the panels. And to me, it's a feeder program. So we can see if people show up every day and they want to learn. And, it's an unskilled position. And the ones that gravitate towards more metal framing, we can roll them out into the other crew, and then they can go install. So it's a great avenue for onboarding people and, testing out work ethic and reliability and things like that at first with no skills. And then we teach those skills.
Cool. And what made you guys partner with FrameCAD?
Because we looked at other machines, and what happened was, you asked me how we really started. I was part of this peer group. We've been researching, and I was at a networking event, and one of my customers said to me, hey, you told me about 6 months ago that you were researching prefab, because I had just come back from one of the meetings, and I think we were in California, Arizona or somewhere. And I had said this to him, and he said, were you serious about that? And I said, yeah. So we just haven't, pulled the trigger yet. And he said to me, well, we have a project that we could do together. It's design build. We got the project because we said that we could accelerate the schedule. So if we teamed up with you on a design build or design assist, would you be up and running and be able to frame this building to meet our schedule? I was like, sure, we'll figure it out. So that we have done many, many projects with that customer since then. But that was the catalyst that was like, okay. So I said, if I invest in these machines, are you sure that we are going to get this project together? Because I'll do it. And we've worked with this customer for decades, and we trust each other, and I believe in relationships. And so I say our motto here is part of our mission statement is that we build relationships as well as buildings, because you could build one building, but relationships are more important. So we've done decades worth of work with this guy, and on a handshake, he was like, I just wanted to know if you think you could do it in time. And so we decided on FrameCAD because we needed to learn quickly, and we needed to, that infrastructure. And it worked, and we've done a ton of work with them since, but it was a big leap.
Yeah, that relationship piece must be really important when you're changing mindsets, you're changing process. There must be that level of trust must be important. Otherwise, if you guys are rowing in different directions, I'd imagine these things wouldn't work.
And our best projects, like I said, are projects like that, where the team will say, we don't really know how to do this. You do your part. We'll do our part. Let's meet every 2 weeks. Let's, and that level of trust. And we get a lot of work and a lot of repeat business because of that. And we've had so many people say, we don't really understand this, and we're not really sure you can meet this schedule, but someone said we have to use you, or a member of the team recommended us. And every time I am thankful and happy to report that they have been blown away, and they're like, this is amazing, and recommend us on other jobs, which is great.
Is there any like real common objections that you get, or like frequently asked questions that, what are they?
How do you make it cheaper? A lot of decisions are money driven. And so we add into our educational pieces. We have data, right? Where we'll say it actually is cheaper, because if we turn over your building 2 months sooner and you have an owner who is making money with that asset, your general conditions are saved on from your general contractor. Your insurance is cheaper. It's a win. So you have to get away from the 3 5/8 stud and the 2x4. And we've actually shown data where there's an assisted living, and the CM said to us, well, your price is $100,000 higher on this $2 million drywall job. And they were charging on senior living facilities, $6,000 to $12,000 a month. It would have been $1.2 million at the minimum in savings. So that $100,000 where we were more could have been a $1.2 million savings for the owner.
That makes sense. What about when they're doing their cost, are they factoring in like the amount of labor on site and the things being extended and not working on site versus a lot of the it's all done in a factory and in controlled conditions? Like, surely is that part of their kind of ROI decision?
Think so. Again, for the right owner, when we have a dormitory on a college university where students in beds is an income generator, that's kind of a no-brainer, right? Where it's kind of like, there's our ROI right there. We do a lot of education. People don't really understand how to bid the labor part of it. How do you figure, if we're creating a wall panel, how much labor does that actually really save us in the field? And that's where we get a lot of hesitation, or we won't get a job, because people just don't understand how to bid it. And so we're constantly fighting that battle. And again, with what we offer is ownership involvement from beginning to end of a project to make sure that it goes smoothly and we do another job together. But sometimes getting people over that hurdle of, I just don't have time, because everyone here, and I'm sure it's the same way everywhere else, you get maybe 2 weeks to bid a job, and it could be a giant job that really should be a month and a half of a bid. And a lot of times, I mean, in fairness to the estimators who are working on these projects, they don't have time to figure out something new. That's why we try and get in early with the design assist or early collaboration with some of these design teams.
Yeah. So, and I guess that comes back to the education piece where, they bring you in up front early on. How important is that design and engineering stage in your process?
Well, we tell people we can bid a job that's fully designed, but we can offer the best value by looking at it sooner. We've had people come in with a napkin and a rectangle and say, can you prefab 4 stories of this? And just, what would you need to do it, right? And then the project evolves from there. We've actually had great success with people referring us that have had success on their projects, and coming to us and saying, at what stage do you want to be involved? And so that's a great place to be, right? So it's nice that we're finally getting there. But we spend a lot of time, I'd say most of our time is educating and talking to people and, giving them whatever resources they need to feel comfortable with what we're doing. I'd love to be busier, but we are busy doing that.
Yeah, no, it's that education. I mean, that's something that FrameCAD's trying to help with as well, is like, how do we educate the market around this way of working? What does your education look like? You mentioned lunch and learns. Is that just visiting architects and educating them there, or do you guys do anything else?
whatever works for the client. We have some people that don't really want to come here, so we do Teams meetings and just do a virtual meeting, meet the team. We have some videos of the shop. We just do a presentation. That's easier and quicker, obviously, for everyone. And really just staying in front of everyone. We do a lot of networking events. We've got business development people out there just reminding people, because again, everyone's busy. It's not, we're lucky that it's still busy here, which is great. So sometimes people just forget because they're so busy. And so we're constantly reminding people, hey, we're here. What do you need from us? Just checking in. Can we help with anything?
No, that makes
Boots on the
sense.
ground type of stuff.
Have you got a project that you're most proud of in your career?
Yeah, like I said, we've only been doing this for about 8 years with this company. And I will say we did a university, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it, but it's on our website. So check out our website, network-framing.com. And it was a dorm, and we were brought in because they needed to meet the schedule. It took a while to get through all the planning and zoning approvals and board approval. And we were brought in to meet the schedule. It was very aggressive. We ended up doing it, and the university was very happy. Students were happy. Everyone was like, what is that? And so it was great for us because we got a lot of exposure since it was on this university campus while they were building 2 other buildings at the same time. And they trusted us. They just said, can you meet the schedule? And I had worked for that company also with our, network interiors for 30 years. So we had that relationship and they trusted us. And so it turned out to be a great project for all of us.
Cool. And yeah, what does the next couple of years look like for you guys? Where any other areas? I think you mentioned a bit of residential. Is that something that's coming up?
We've been doing ICF homes. We have an architect in Connecticut, Lee Overland, and he's been speccing us. Actually took a picture and framed it. We were specced on ICF homes, which is very exciting. So we are working with Lee on his projects to do the insulated formed concrete homes. So we've been doing single family homes like that, and we've been doing regular framed homes. We're finding there's more of a market, surprisingly, of single family homes push, in Connecticut than there have been. Other parts of the country, it's very common, not here. So that's been fun because every home is different. Every job we do is different. So they're all custom, whether it's a commercial building or hospital or a dorm or a single family home. So that's been fun. I'd love to get into the ADU market. Those are still all wood here. But yeah, we're doing a bunch of different single family homes. It's exciting.
Okay, so if anyone's in the Connecticut region looking to do ADU homes, they should reach out to you guys. And
absolutely. We do tiny homes. We have a customer. It's called Tiny Foundations, and we supply all the framing for the tiny homes. And so that's been good, but those are on trailers. So if somebody's looking for an ADU for a single family home, absolutely. Network-framing.com.
Perfect. Well, yeah, thank you so much, Melissa. Thanks for jumping on the podcast and sharing your journey. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. So yeah, for anyone that wants to reach out to you guys,
it's network-framing.com, and you can send a message through the info. Contact us.
Great. Thank you so much, Melissa.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited about pushing prefab into the future.
Thanks for listening to Steel Framing Connections. If today's conversation sparked a new idea, share it with your team and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. To explore the technology, people and projects shaping the future of steel framing, visit framecad.com. Let's reframe how you think about building.